The last discussion session for health and homelessness for this quarter, although the class will continue next quarter. So today we have several guests from the Real Change Homeless Speakers Bureau, and I'll introduce them in just one moment. But if you've missed a discussion session this quarter, go to the website healthandhomelessness.com, and here are the 5 things you'll need to do to make those up. So you'll need to make up any session that you missed for any reason. So do the introduction slides, which are basically these. Each time the presentation slides, if the speakers have them. The session recording, we have a session being recorded for each of these, and they're posted on the website. And then complete an exercise and then the speaker evaluation, so we know what you thought of each speaker and what we can do differently next time. So on Monday, on President's Day, several volunteers went down to Mary's place, so I've got some pictures just showing some interdisciplinary work. You can see that we partner with the med school to do foot care, and then we do oral hygiene. You can see a dental student on the left doing foot care, and is that a nursing student, I think, doing a head and neck exam with Safeco. And just more pictures of that. So if you participated in that, thank you for doing that, and I hope to see more people there. So as I said, the course will continue next quarter. There will be 5 new speakers on new subjects that we haven't had before. I'm still nailing down the last 1 or 2. But look for information on that, how to register. And the requirements should be the same as this quarter. So if you plan on volunteering at UGM or at 45th Street Clinic or at Longview, take this class again, and that'll kind of provide you some background information and stuff. Yeah.
On the feedback sheets, we really appreciate your ideas. As you know, this is a new course that David started a year ago. And when you are out in the community working and you say, gee, wouldn't it be great if that person came and talked, or I've always wondered about this problem, whether you're at Longview or 45th or something, that we will try to facilitate and bring in those speakers so that we can, learn more from our community members and the people we serve. So please give that kind of feedback. We would love to hear that, what works and what doesn't. So, thank you again.
Yeah, so don't forget to fill out the speaker evaluations that are here if you're out in these sessions, and then don't forget to sign in as well. That's your attendance for being here. So I'll introduce a couple of our guests. We have George Sidwell and Buddy McArdle. We also have Rachel and Susan, who is kind of shadowing the speakers today. Before they come up and share their personal stories, they wanted me to play a video.
Can you turn on the light?
Actually, I don't know. I know.
I've had this truck it's been about a year. Real solid on the truck. They did a half-ass job on it. Basically, I'm just fixing all the stuff they didn't do right. They put the same original carburetor on it. They didn't put the slug belt motor back on it. And he just went brakes and did that themselves. Crazy shit like that, I got my little bed in the middle. I got my chair. I got my kitchen / food storage area. Basically, this truck is my lifeline.
I have my own construction business. I was on the job, I pointed up. I felt kind of weird all day. My vision was kind of spotty. My whole left side just went up. I fell to the ground, and I thought I was going to die. The scariest part of it was thinking about dying alone.
A person goes to change their life over, they think that when you work hard, things will work in your favor. That's just so much bullshit. Those days are gone. It's all about the dollar. And that's okay. That's their game, but I'm gonna play it.
I wound up having a stroke. I had to go to rehab to learn how to rewalk. After I got out, 6 weeks later, my house burned down. One of my roommates had turned on the stove. He walked away from it. The house burned totally to the ground. I found myself homeless. I've had to start over so many times. I don't have much. A couple of luggage pieces and a big-sized garbage bag of clothes. It's kind of nice to keep what I got.
There's a little tiny incident that happened that actually destroyed my entire career. I was called in by a general partner for the real estate syndication that I was working for, and he said, you know, bud, I gotta let you go. And I said, well, why? He said, well, the question was asked, were you ever convicted of any felonies? You said no. So you lied on your application. Things just progressively got worse. My wife left me and I lost the place where I was living. It's just a state of depression. Couldn't snap out of it for years.
This is not how I should be living. I got problems with my legs real bad, and this dampness, the cold, really affects that. Makes it difficult for me to walk and sit for long periods. I just refuse to stay in shelter. Why do we get to eat in here? You have to go through their church service. And, you know, I'm very anti-religion. I believe in reality. So I see my truck where I feel secure and safe, and I'm in control of the situation.
In my 40s, I went back to college. They say it's never too late to go back to school, but I'm here to tell you it is. When you're in your late 40s, it's no time to start taking on student debt, number one. And nobody, and I mean nobody, will hire you. And nobody ever did. People say there's work out there, and I tell them, you're full of shit, man. Show me where.
In the 20 years that I've been away from home, I moved 32 times. And it's not just because I wanted to do that. There were situations that always made it happen. A lot of times I'll go into the tent in the evening, roll my cigarettes, play some music, and I have that moment to myself to relax. It's just kind of that same routine.
I can tell you this for sure. I will not ever pay rent again. I don't care if I gotta take that tent and go put it up here in the hills. At least you got a piece of something that's yours.
I remember my dad telling me, you know, you need to learn how to put away money and save for later in case something happens. I never did, just because, you know, I always made good money and I wasn't really worried about it.
You're disabled, you get treated like crap by people. You always seem to like to berate me and think I'm a worthless person. Well, yeah, I'm not worthless. I'm not out here drinking or drugging. It's not my fault that my kidneys shut down.
A lot of people say, well, you look like you're a pretty intelligent person, you know, and I am, but that doesn't mean that I'm not in the position I am in. I'm used to being on the other side, being the giver instead of the receiver.
I have no problem telling people that I'm homeless. I'm not just poor, I'm homeless. To know that I'm never going to be sitting in a car like you're driving, or to probably have the type of money that you have, I'm not going to see it. The best I can hope for at the end of the day is to get my basic needs met.
it's hard to put a label on homelessness. I never got into drugs, I never drank, and yet here I am, homeless.
Selling real change and being self-employed is a great thing. I don't get welfare checks. I don't get SSI checks. At least out here progressively, you're building up clients, you're building up customers. People miss you when you're not there. How are you going to beat that?
When I first started doing this with relocating, I made a couple $100, and that helped pay for my real trucks. And hopefully, if it all works out, I can get down to California, where it's warmer, and it won't be affecting my health as much.
It's changed my opinion of homelessness in a lot of ways. I see where there still is what my mom and dad talked about when I was growing up, as far as they're homeless because they want to be. But then I see a lot more people that are winding up that way because of the situation. Something that happened to them that's totally out of their control. So in that way, my heart goes out to those people a lot.
Water.
So we're lucky today to be able to watch that video and also to have two of the people who were filming that video. So I'll let them take the stage now and kind of give their personal stories. So here we go.
I hope you guys are as nervous as me. Man, no matter how many times you do this, it's still kind of wonder what you're going to say, how people are going to take you. My name is George Sidwell. I'm a vendor for Real Change, and I was a licensed general contractor until, like the film said, I had a stroke and wound up being homeless for about 5 years. A lot of the time I was doing either some kind of shelter encampment or a motel. Just recently, I think it was October of last year, I took and actually moved into a real place, and because of Real Change, and and kind of like Buddy said, I don't collect Social Security, I don't get a welfare check, and I pay for my own, and I understood that you guys kind of wanted us to talk a little bit about how homelessness affects health. In that 5 years of homelessness, I was hospitalized like 6 times because of TIAs. And there was a few times because of the fact that, I really didn't have a advocate for myself. The doctors told me it was all in my head, and just threw me out on the street and took and give me a walker because I'm homeless, and there really can't be anything wrong with me. It's all in my head. Also, a few years ago, well, it's been more than a few, it's been about 20. I have had a girlfriend killed by a doctor because of the fact that she was homeless and got in a fight and on the street by somebody she didn't know, hit her in the head with a full 40 ouncer, and she couldn't afford the medical to go to the doctor, so it formed a blood clot and caused pressure on the brain. And when they went in to do emergency surgery, they did it on the wrong side. And you know, if you don't believe that we live in a world today that even though a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, I don't think all doctors are this way, but even though a lot of them take an oath to take and provide health care for whoever, it mostly goes to those people that have the money. There was a lot of tests that I've had done in the last year and a half. I haven't had an admission to the hospital because of the doctors that I have today that could have been done 6 years ago, 8 years ago, that weren't done because I was homeless and didn't know where the money was coming from. You know, I'm not going to say that, you know, that, not saying this for you to feel sorry for me, because, you know, I believe it's made me a better person in a lot of ways. And, you know, it's because of the people that I've met in my life throughout, like Real Change, Buddy, and some of the other people that has given me the chance to get somewhat of a life back. You know, I'm not going to say that, you know, it's all good and wonderful. I ran a room from a friend for $400 a month, and sometimes that $400 is hard to come up with, but you know what, at least I'm doing it. And, you know, I watched a lot of my good friends die out there way before their time to die because of being homeless, not having a place to go. Buddy?
I'm gonna take a long way around.
Okay.
Keep your arm out there, will you? That's gonna hit like.
Hi guys, how you doing? My name is Buddy McArdle, and I was one of the people you probably heard me talk up there too, right? We don't use ours in Boston for some reason. I think we left them out of the alphabet. I can tell you this, you know, this is a very fine school, and I see a lot of talent out here today, you know. And I'm only going to ask you just one small request. Take the talent, take your youth, and be a creator. Think outside the box, you know. Anybody can go the same way the sheep goes. But it's a dynamic and complex social cancer that we have today with homelessness. It's very complex. There's no one answer. You can throw all the money you want at it, but it always keeps it always seems to keep coming back. It's going to take some real talent to, you know, to sit here and try to do something constructive with this, you know, with the cancer that's in society right now. You know, I wasn't always homeless, and I'm going to tell you, I'm 55 years old, and you know, and I put on a military uniform when I was 17 years old, and I was a real estate broker in Boston. I managed millions of dollars worth of property, but I forgot about the fact that I kicked the crap out of 3 cops in 1980, and so that was my felony that I described briefly on there. And what am I supposed to do at a $50,000 a year job? Oh yeah, sure, I got arrested for a felony. That was 5, 6, 7 years ago. What bearing would that have on me now? Now that I'm married and I have 2 children and I have responsibility. And how do I move on with to be a productive citizen if society is never going to let me forget about what happened 7 years ago? And that was my first taste to just how harsh it can be. I lost, just stop and think about this for 1 minute. In one day or 1 week, you lose every single thing that you ever cared about or loved in your life. Think about that. One day you wake up, your wife is gone, your children are gone, your job is gone, and your home is gone. Then all of a sudden, after about 2 years of sleeping in doorways, with one eye open so somebody doesn't come by to, accidentally you want to, cut your throat and steal you a few pennies, you find yourself in one of those places, a homeless encampment, with 150 of the most desperate people in the city. Young people in their 20s coming in with children that are highly addicted to drugs, and not simply because they felt like going out and doing drugs. A lot of the drug and alcohol situation, believe it or not, can be a result of being homeless. I don't think anybody here really knows what it's like to lay in a tent in the pouring rain and listen to an infant screaming its brains out in the middle of the night while a young couple who's going through dope withdrawals is trying to comfort the infant the only way they know how. It's a serious situation, to say the least, and like I said, it's no easy answer. So let's hope, that somewhere, you're the future. Each and every one of you. There's no time limit on it. Take your time. But somewhere along the line, try to make a contribution to somewhere in your life to try to, to get rid of it. It's like racism or discrimination or anything else that this country stands for that somehow has come into this society that we live in. It's got to take a lot of creative thinking to get us out of it. And on that note, good to see you all smiling and glad you showed up. Have a great day.
So now we'll go ahead and turn it over to you guys for any questions and answers that you may have. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk a little bit about real change and just, I know that it has to do with the vending of the newspapers, but I don't know what's in the newspapers and what people sell them. And
Well, like this week, I do have a few papers with me that you guys, if you feel like you want to, that you can buy from me after we're done here. I'll stick around for a little bit. One of the stories in the Real Change this week is how Washington State is #1 for homeless students. And I'm not talking guys your ages. I'm talking elementary school, junior high. So those are the kind of stories that Real Change supports. We support economic justice. That's what we fight for. And so our stories go along a lot of those lines. We were really behind the $15 an hour minimum wage now. And just some of the other things. One of the campaigns that we had last year that we won was the one on how employers now can't ask somebody, an applicant, to say, yes, he's a felon before he has the interview. That's one of the campaigns that Real Change had that they teamed up with a couple people here in Seattle, and we won it. We have a campaign going on right now that we just launched. I don't know how many of you guys know, but this year, when we did the one-night count, after all shelters were full, there was 3,117 people found still on the street. So Real Change has launched a campaign to fight Congress to take in, provide more shelter, more economic, more affordable housing, and by February 18th, 2015, to have that number decreased by 1,000. So those are kind of some of the things that Real Change writes about. A lot of things to do with economic justice, homelessness, and a person like me that is a Real Change vendor, either homeless or low income, can go into the office and do a, is that called a gym?
You wanna do a chore?
No. Mondays and Fridays. Orientation. And we're given a code of conduct. And as long as we can keep that code of conduct, we can go in the office, buy the paper for 60 cents, and we go out in the public and sell it for $2. So it gives us like a $1.40 profit. So as you can see, it's not a real wage, but it's it takes care of what we need to take care of. You know, it helps me get back on my feet. You know, it's helped Susan, it's helped Buddy, and a lot of other people. Daniel, who is a friend of mine that is now living in an apartment and, you know, not at the encampment anymore. Sorry about getting carried away so much. Any other questions?
Does Real Change offer like support programs or other programs that go along with it?
Can you get in a little more detail?
Like just like financial planning or, you know, hooking you up with a medical advocate, doctor or.
You know, they're kind of there with that kind of information if we ask for it. Okay, but it's not something that is set up with that already there.
Real Change is basically, well, it's a street sheet. And the whole principle behind the street sheet is to get on out there and make yourself some eat money. I mean, you know, people are out there, I'm sure you've all seen them. I mean, they're all out there shaking a cup or flying a sign. And I don't hold on against, you know, people like that. I mean, only doing, you know, they're trying to survive basically the best way that they can. Real Change offers another opportunity where, believe it or not, we have some vendors that do very well. But you go in there, you buy the papers, and then you go on out there, you buy them for 60 cents and you sell them for $2, which means that if you're anything with sales and people, you could probably come pretty close to a minimum wage by selling about 10 papers an hour, you know what I mean? The best part about it is that you're actually networking too at the same time. You know, I mean, you're getting out there and you're really doing something, you know? I've had some basic job offers, you know, doing yard work, stuff like that. But as far as anything else goes, like as far as health benefits or anything, any outreach, what's good is it's like a central point where a lot of these agencies may go to put the word out, so that usually if you're a Real Change vendor, you can walk in there and read the boards and stuff and see what's out there. Pretty much. Any other questions?
I'm curious, how many people have bought and read Real Change? I think I'm a regular purchaser of that, and actually the quality of the writing is really very good, and the topics that are written about. I'm always very impressed about how in tune the writers and contributors are to contemporary issues that apply actually to not even being homeless. You know, diet issues, political issues, and very well written. And you know, obviously it's there's some people who are real talent there, and there's poetry, there's artistic type stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I encourage those of you who haven't tried that it's actually a fine bit of reading.
Any other questions? What? Yes, ma'am.
I'm a social work student. I work at DESC. You answered most of the questions, but if I have clients who are interested in being involved, either submitting something or selling papers, the best thing is for them to show up, you said Mondays and Fridays?
Monday, Friday at 10 o'clock.
At 10 o'clock?
Yep, they go through orientation, I get 5 free papers. They get 5 free papers in a badge, and I'm telling you, man, I mean, you can't go wrong. It's not gonna cost you anything but about 45 minutes of your time.
Do they need any kind of documentation and ID or anything?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. Matter of fact, you could say your name was Pinocchio Clavigus III, that's what goes on your back. Really.
What about jurisdiction? Is there a certain area that people kind of select?
Well, that's part of the, the protocol within the organization. If you sell 600 papers a month at one specific location, that's your, what we call turf. That means if you see another vendor there, you can boot them off your corner. That's really all it means. But it takes time to establish that. 600 papers can be a challenge, and it is a challenge. I've been a 600 vendor several times, and I think George is a 600 vendor too. But it's really a great opportunity to get out there and meet people. But here's a misnomer, and just something I want to point out. Most all people that sell real change newspapers have probably started as a homeless person. Okay? Now, here's the misnomer that all real change vendors are homeless people. Okay, here's the real deal. You may start out homeless, but you may not wind up homeless because you have actually worked yourself out of a homeless situation. Okay, like I have and several other people have. But that doesn't mean you stop buying a paper because the guy's not homeless anymore. You buy the paper because you enjoy reading it or maybe support the cause. But you always got to remember that in order for somebody to maintain, they also have to keep selling the paper until something better comes along, which is what we're all striving for. People think, well, he's not homeless anymore, I don't need to buy this paper. It's, just, I don't understand where they come up with that, but, because it is a good paper. Anyways, I know I seen your hand out. Yeah.
Money, please. Money? I just wanted to say that 600 badge is a full-time turf. They also have a 300 badge, which is a part-time turf, which gives you 8 hours a day. And you choose the time you want. I have the West Seattle Post Office. And it's on the spot, because I did better than him. No, just joking. He's the one that actually got me started. I took and asked him, you think I can make $20 today? And that's when the paper was $1 still, and he said, I think you probably could, and I sold 20 in an hour and a half. So, 300 badges, 8 hours a day. And that's what I hold on the post office. Not that I couldn't do a 600, but with it being a post office and the hours, not really worth it. So,
That's why you're not going to buy it.
we got like about 10 minutes left. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question. This might be a little bit off topic, but when it comes to having a felony or a record, how do you think would be the best way to help those with criminal records get established back into society? Because I know some things like that could just...
That's a good question. Help change laws. That's one thing I don't talk about in the film, or I didn't bring up earlier, but I have a felony that when I was drinking and drugging, I'm an recovering alcoholic drug addict. I've been clean and sober for 18 years. What stopped me was I woke up one day 6 weeks before my release date in Walla Walla State Penitentiary. And I'd hurt a cop pretty bad and someone that I really loved and cared about. And realized that I'd become a real monster. And that still comes against me today. And part of the reasoning for being homeless, other than money, is because of the felony. Because nowadays, when you go to fill out an application for a place, they do a background check. And if you're a felon with like assaults, and not just, like a misdemeanor assault, but something like beating up a cop or something, they're probably not going to want you in their place.
One other thing too, I like to point out, that's a very good question, and it's something that I advocate whenever I can. I was part of the advocacy that had that box checked off, taken off the application. Not that they still can't do a background check on you, but they can't do it as a determination in the beginning process of the hiring, which I think is critical. You know, in other words, just because you check that box, they throw it in the trash can, those days are gone. But that is also, plays a big factor with the social cancer of condoning homeless and breeding homelessness, is the fact that people have got out of prison and have absolutely no shot of ever getting a job or even an apartment. You realize that there are kids today, and I call them kids, 22, 23, 24 years old, in the prime of their life, because they have 2 felony strikes. They can't get public assistance, they can't get an apartment, and they can't even get a friggin' job. I mean, what are you telling this person? I mean, look, I understand, do the time, do the crime, or whatever, you know, and I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, I don't think you should be able to go up there and rob somebody and get away with it. Okay, but once the debt's paid, let's move on. You know, I think it's a very, very critical argument in any legislature, you know, that's coming out of Olympia or whatever in this state, that breeds poverty, breeds homelessness in a big way.
Do you think the prisons could do anything to help the felons once they get on outs to reassimilate to society? Like,
Repeat that again, please.
programs, do you think the prisons could have any programs to help people reassimilate once they're on out?
Absolutely, but also it's a 2-part system, okay? It used to be that when you were sent to prison, they were sent to prison to be like basically rehab, to be rehabilitated. There was a lot of things going on. People, we had one of our vending icons, Eddie McLean, who's dead now, did 10 years in prison in Chicago for second-degree murder. He was one of the few black people in that prison that actually received a college degree. But guess what? After 10 years in prison, being black, you think a college degree is really going to help you now? So unless we get like a 2-part change here, I mean, it's great for the prisons to put on all kinds of rehabilitation, but if, you know, if society isn't going to do their part, so what the hell good is it? Really? I mean, all you do is keeping them down. Any other questions? Come on, I see one hand up there.
Also, to go along with that a little bit is, you know, there is also another article in this week's paper about fines and stuff like that, that people that, like the person they're talking about in there has been clean and sober for 10 years, they did their time, and they get to fear every month that they don't pay their $30, they're going to get arrested and go to jail. You know, because of the fact that the system don't want to take and give them any real kind of chance. Because I don't know if you guys have known anybody in jail or whatever, but usually when you go to jail, you know, you call your employer a couple days in a row and say, hey, I'm in jail, that you're going to get out and not have a job. You know, so it's just causing the whole situation to repeat itself over and over and over again.
What do you mean, that really goes on?
No! Any other questions?
Your movie was awesome.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Also to let you guys know, I mean, not to brag or nothing, but this played in LA, it played in Chicago, it played in San Bernardino, California, it played here in Seattle, it played in Spokane last month, and
Boston Underground.
Boston Underground, and one first place award, Boston Underground.
You know why? 'Cause they move in.
Won, yeah, right. It won, it's won 5 awards out of the 7 places it's played so far.
Did you play yourself?
And an important
No.
part is they actually were part of the production process from start to finish. So,
Yeah.
not just the subject.
So,
What other
you know, to go along with what you were saying about the articles and stuff in the Real Change, you know, our reporters have won like 15 first place awards this year for their editorial. So, you know, it is a really good magazine.
Amy Rose awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Is your movie available?
Not at this point in time because it's still going through film festivals, which it played in here this last year, and it won't be online until after April. You guys can, if you guys have an organization or something like that though, that you feel would like to see it, they can contact Real Change, the Homeless People Bureau part of it, and we can show it. We can't let it out to the public yet. Yeah.
I can loan it to you, but then you have to give it back to me or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
And you probably want to charge it for it anyway.
Don't make me have to come looking for you either.
I believe we're about out of time.
Are we?
So if there is no last, David, right? About out of time? No more questions? Well,
Did this help though? I mean, did this help? I mean, did this kind of give you an outlook of what this class was? I mean, I know you guys pay a lot of money to go away. I know colleges are cheap. So I don't want to shortchange you. Okay? I want you to get every nickel out of this. So hopefully somewhere down the road, you know, I mean, you know, it's got to be, the torch has to be handed down to all you talented young individuals. And believe me, I think you guys can do it too. I see the world changing every day. Same world today isn't anywhere as what it used to be. I mean, you know, can you believe this? You could smoke cigarettes anywhere, even on a bus. I had a 90-year-old lady pull out a cigar that big once and light it up. Right there on the bus. Oh yeah, food stores, anywhere. You can smoke, except for church and school. But see how society has changed now. Today you can't even smoke within 25 feet of a building. Maybe it's 100, I don't know.
I want to thank you guys for having us. You know, I hope this is, you know, what you guys expected, and I hope that we're able to shine some light on things for you. And, you know, like Buddy said, you know, you guys are our future. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in if we can't educate you, then it's just going to keep on getting worse and worse.
And you know, but basically we're just letting you know.
Even though I didn't speak today, if you guys have any questions or want to know, I sell Martell's up in your district, so.
And we'll be around for a few minutes afterwards too, so if you guys have any questions, or like I said, I have some papers if you want to buy one. I also have some stickers for our campaign that we have going on. Outside in, 1,000 by...
1,000 safer by 2015.
Yep, by 2015.
What is that? What is that? How come I don't know nothing about it?
About that.
Where was I at?